Today I'm going on what is a new level of adventure for me. I'm in the Sage Creek area of Badlands National Park where there are no trails, and I just wandered into the wilderness and I'm going to find a place to camp. I'm navigating by following a creek which has a very distinctive sort of cliff on the side of it, and I'm not going to go in too far because this is sort of a first for me, so I want to take it easy on my first time and not get lost. This is Sage Creek and I've just been following the creek in. I've been walking for about 40 minutes so far. Where there are no human trails, there are animal trails. The ranger mentioned that you don't want to camp near an animal trail because then the animals might come near you at night. I think that looks like a potential good campsite over there. It's a bit removed from the animal trail. It's removed from the water, so I won't disturb any animals near the water, and it looks flat. Let's go check it out. That actually turned out to be another bend of the stream. I think I'm going to have to cross the stream back again and go to the other side where it looks like there might be some nice flat spots. Just almost walked right into this huge spider. There's a bison grazing on the other side of the creek. It's honestly a bit challenging to find a flat spot that doesn't have bison poop or a bison trail or a bison pit. I found this area that looks like maybe a bison herd came through, but it looks like it was a while ago. It doesn't seem like there's any fresh dung, and it's nice and flat because they grazed it down. So I'm going to kind of stay on the edge away from any animal trails or bison pits. Not sure if that's what they're called, but the mud pits that they kind of wallow in. I don't know if anyone can relate to this, but I'm a vacation perfectionist, and let's be honest, I think I'm also anxious in general, so it makes it hard for me to make decisions on vacations sometimes because I really worry that I'll miss out on something if I make the wrong decision. Weirdly, on this trip, I've been feeling stressed by, which is so stupid because it's like I'm really privileged to even be on this trip in the first place, but I've been feeling stressed by like, oh, there's so many things I want to see and do, and then I feel like there's this time pressure while I'm doing the thing. I'm like worried that I'm not enjoying the thing because I'm like, oh, well, I gotta keep moving along if I want to see this thing. I was supposed to spend 4 days in the Badlands, but because I wanted to spend an extra day in Wind Cave, I now have one fewer day here, which is okay. I think it's fine. But at the time, that decision was like, oh man, am I doing the right thing? Like, am I gonna regret it? Is it gonna be terrible? And then I'll be sad that I missed out on an extra day in the Badlands. Even now, when I was thinking about how many days am I gonna camp in the Sage Creek area. So if I go back to the kind of the main section of the Badlands, I'll probably be camping in that regular campground, which I don't love car camping as much. I would rather backcountry camp, but so I'm like, oh, am I going to regret like not camping out here for 2 nights and then I'll have to stay in a regular campground? I don't think so, because then I would have to regret not seeing the Badlands rock formations because I only have a few days left at this point, and I want to make sure I spend enough time seeing those, because today I was like driving through those like crazy to try to get here, which was a really far drive. So I'm always like worrying about, am I missing out on something? Am I spending enough time doing this thing? Am I like enjoying this thing enough? And it's all so ridiculous. Why can't I just calm down and relax? I don't regret trying to pack a lot into my vacations because I feel like I've been able to see and do a lot of cool things that way. I'm not able to just like relax, and I don't like it. I don't think I would enjoy a vacation that's like, you know, hanging out at a spa or a resort or something. It's weird, but I kind of like my vacations to be stressful, which like they almost always are, because I always like try to pack a lot in, and then doing things like this backpacking is really challenging. Like, it's challenging physically. It's like often scary. My husband is like, oh, I'm never scared, but I get scared easily, so I'm often scared about various things. This little excursion, I was like, oh man, am I gonna get lost? I'm gonna wander into the wilderness and they'll never see me again, which was kind of funny because I was walking and walking, and then I turned back around, and because it's the prairie and you can see it far away, I actually could still see the parking lot. Because first you kind of I went over a ridge and there were some trees, and so I couldn't see the parking lot anymore. So I was like, okay, now I'm really out here on my own. But then as I crossed a couple more ridges, I turned back around and it was like, oh, I can still see the parking lot. Like, I'm not going to get lost and die out here. It's okay. Now I'm behind a ridge, so I can't see it, which is nice because you're not supposed to be in view of the cars, but also that would kind of ruin the vibe. My Grand Canyon trip earlier this year, I was worried about how my knee would do because of the really intense climbing up and down. And then I was also worried about the snow situation. There was a massive snowstorm just before I went. The North Rim was pretty much shut down, so that was disappointing, but I was also worried about like how much it was going to affect my trip. It didn't really end up affecting it that much, and sometimes it's scary because of like the animals. We went on a trip to Glacier a couple years ago, and I was so stressed out about the grizzly bears the whole time. Sometimes I felt like I was going to black out from the anxiety of potentially running into a grizzly bear. Sometimes the trails there were so narrow, like you're just kind of wading through bushes with berries where the bears like to hang out next to a waterfall where, because the waterfall is so loud, the bear might not hear you coming. So I was like yelling at the top of my lungs, like, hey bear, we're coming. And that worked because we never saw a bear on the trail, fortunately. But there's always something to worry about. I enjoy that it's challenging and you kind of have to like confront your fear and manage your anxiety. Because for me, being an anxious person, it's really helped me in a weird way to be like, okay, these are some scary things, but I'm going to do it anyway. I think all of this is linked weirdly with my fear of mortality, which I've been stewing on a lot lately. My grandfather passed away last year, and now my grandmother has dementia, and just seeing how limited time is, and the dementia runs in my family, so it feels like there's this ticking clock over me because there's like a good chance it could happen to me. So I just feel this really strong urge to just like make the most of every moment. Am I really using this time well? You know, am I doing all the things that I want to do before it's too late? And like, you never know when your life could end. You might get in a car crash or something crazy might happen. Even though I'm still fairly young, you never know when your time is going to be up. So I've just felt this strong need the last few years to really just pack it in. The time that I have, I'm trying to really, really make the most of it and see and do as many amazing things as I can. Tonight I'm eating the Backpackers Pantry risotto with chicken. It's good, I like it. I'm going to use this as inspiration for making one of my own backpacking meals. Good morning. It's a beautiful day in Badlands National Park. We had a really nice night out here. There were lots of animal sounds. At some point, I heard an animal snort loudly near my tent. I'm not sure what it was. I never actually saw it. I called out to say like, hey, I'm here, because I really didn't want it to come over. I was a little bit worried about whether this spot is the spot where the animals like to hang out, and if they were looking at me like, hey, what are you doing here? I think it wandered off because I didn't hear it again after that. Also, lots of coyotes last night, which was a little eerie at first. I haven't really experienced that before, and some of them sounded like they were really near my tent. So that was a little bit creepy at first, but then I kind of got used to it. It was sort of cool. I'm not sure what my camping plans are for tonight at this point. So right now I'm headed back out from the Sage Creek area. I'm gonna go back to my car, drive into sort of the more main part of the Badlands so I can go check out those really beautiful rock formations. Tonight I was thinking about camping in that section of the Badlands, but the wind has really picked up. It's so windy right now, and if that keeps up, it may actually just be a good night to sleep in the chute. Back intact from my off-trail journey. There was a movie in the 90s, I think, because it was when I was a kid, called Homeward Bound, about these three pets. It was two dogs and a cat. They get dropped off by their owners with a family friend or something at like a ranch because the owners are going on vacation, and the animals freak out because they think they're being left behind. So they break out from the ranch and then they go on this crazy wilderness journey to reach their home. It's a fun movie. They have all kinds of like adventures and they have silly voices for the animals. At the very end, after they've had all these challenges getting home, the family is waiting for them because they've realized that the pets have escaped at this point, and the young dog comes over a hill, the cat comes over the hill, and then there's this really suspenseful moment where you're just waiting to see what happened with the older dog because you weren't sure if he made it back, and then he comes over the hill and it's like super emotional, and the little boy is so happy that his dog came home. And that's kind of always how I feel when I come back from a backpacking trip. It's like, oh yay, I made it, I'm home. Here's a look at the Sage Creek primitive campground. You just drive in and kind of take a sight. They have some little picnic tables. There's no running water here, so it's important to bring your own water in. And then there are two, they're a little bit fancier than pit toilets, but there's no running water inside. But there's like a little bathroom. There's some people with horse trailers. So this seems to be a spot where people go horseback riding.